What's up, guys? Nick Major here, APTV correspondent, out on Warped Tour this summer. I had a great in-depth chat with Kyle from Real Friends. We chatted about all the bands he was previously in, what led to the creation of Real Friends, pretty much all of their music releases, how his dad became their bus driver, and a ton more, so stay tuned to see what all he had to say.
Last year I was a train wreck, now I'm just a mess. I'm letting go so I don't lose myself.
We chatted a few times, but every time it's kind of been more or less based on a particular album coming out or something. But I kind of want to know a bit of an oral history of Real Friends.
Yeah, I'm the guy to do it.
If that's cool, because where you guys are from near Chicago area. So how long ago did you guys form, and what motivated you to want to be in a band?
Well, we formed in 2010, and we are from the Chicago suburbs. And I was actually playing in a band. I was a live member in a band called Breathe Electric. I don't know if anyone has ever heard of it, but a friend of mine, it was his band. It was like the electronic kind of phase of
What
music.
year was that?
2010.
That seems about right.
Yeah, and I was on Warped Tour in 2010 actually with that band, and I don't know, it was just weird. I was in this really weird position where I was like just a live member, and because there's one guy that wrote all the music and did all of it, and I was just kind of coasting by, just playing live. And previously, like all through high school, ever since I was 13, I was always in bands that I started. And then this opportunity came up, and at the time I wasn't in a band, so I took it, and I just felt so weird about it. Like after I did it for about a year, and I'm like, I just feel so out of control, and just these songs aren't mine.
I'm only here just because they need someone to play this instrument.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's like if I left the stage and someone else learned the songs, then it doesn't matter, and not that I feel I want to be important or something. It's not even that, or famous or popular or anything. It just, I truly felt weird playing songs that I didn't have a connection to.
No, and I'm sure when you're a musician and you're performing live in front of people, it's pretty important to have kind of that relationship with the music that you're playing.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, even with Real Friends now, it's there's times that I play, or when we play the songs, that it's it'll spark up memories.
You remember when you wrote that?
Or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Or yeah, even I remember I wrote this lyric in this parking lot, sitting here in my car, or I remember writing this in my old where I used to live, you know what I mean? Things like that pop up, and it's with these songs I was just nothing,
So in 2010, then did you leave that project to then form something new because you were kind of done with being just a live member?
Yeah, I actually decided to leave that after Warped Tour of 2010.
You did the whole tour?
Yeah, I did the whole tour in a van with 9 other people. And it was insane. And I was a lot younger then, so it was a little easier, I guess. I don't know how now I'm, we're in a bandwagon and I can't even freaking get through. I'm I'm sore, But anyway, yeah. Towards the end of the tour, I told them, I'm not going to do this anymore after the tour. And it was there was no bad blood or anything, because it wasn't I was a writing member. It was just a live member, and no bad blood or anything. I'm I just doesn't feel like it's for me, And I went home and kind of did nothing for a little bit. And I played with some old friends here and there,
And eventually you played with some Real Friends.
Oh, come on now.
Oh,
you can't put that in here.
Let's,
okay.
No, I'm kidding. But so, yeah, and then how did you come across the group that you're playing with now, though? Did you guys were those some guys that you played with earlier on?
Well, I was actually in, this is all kind of backwards now, but before I was in this Breathe Electric band, I was in a band called The Fastest Kid Alive, and it was kind of pop rock, 2008 to 2010 era, All Time Low, The Main, all those bands, when that was really popular. After I was done with Breathe Electric, in 2010, that band, The Fast Kid Alive, we kind of reformed for a little bit, and we needed a drummer, and that's how I met Dave, who plays guitar in Real Friends now. He played drums for us for we just came back and played 10 shows, just very brief kind of thing. It was more so just let's just have fun, I'm not in a band anymore at this point. The other guys that were in the band weren't doing anything, so we were hey, let's play some shows, and we need a drummer. And this dude Dave, he plays guitar and drums, he wants to play with us, and that's how we met. you know. And then you know, the Fast Kill Live, when we were doing that, it kind of like fizzled out, and I want to start a new band. And I asked Dave, I'm like, hey, do you want to like start a band with me? Like, play drums, play guitar, I don't know, whatever you want to do. Like, let's do something. I want to like really try. And I even remember saying this is going to be my last band, like, because at the time I think I was 22, so I was just like, you know, I'm kind of like in this weird position in life where it's like, do I keep doing music, or do I go and get a real job, or do I, you know what I mean? I was like, and I never really touched like too much success at that point, so I was just kind of like, all right, this is my last swing at things.
So that's what was kind of going through your head after that 2010 Warped Tour, because you said you didn't do anything for a bit. Were you kind of just thinking like, what do I want to do with my life?
Yeah, I kind of hit a point. I did, where I was like, I think at the time I was in a pretty serious long-term relationship, and I was just kind of like, you know, what do I do here? You know, it's like, I got this relationship, like, I never went to college or anything. I'm like, I have no education. I was like, what am I going to do? Like, I'm playing in bands, like, you know, and then I'm not playing in bands, and now I'm just playing in a local band. I'm like, all right, I'm getting in my 20s. Let's figure this out, sort of thing, you know? And then, like I said, I spoke with Dave, and it was funny because like he was really intimidated by me, which is funny. He said like that he was really like didn't know how to respond to me almost, because I'd be like, hey, we should get together and write, and he'd be like, okay, you know, like he was really shy, and he kind of thought that I was a dick, I guess, like, and I give off that attitude, I guess, to some people still, but but I'm kind of like not the most talkative person. Like, if, you know, with you, like, I know you really well, so it's like with you, it's different. But when I first meet someone, I feel like I'm a little standoffish, you know, and that kind of scared Dave away, because Dave is kind of a shy guy. What?
So that intimidated him a little bit.
Yeah, it
He was
did.
like,
I was
"Ooh,
just like,
does he not like me?"
yeah. Well, and he said that every time when he was playing drums in the Fast Kill Live, that any time he would like do one little mess up or something, he was like, you would look right at me. He'd be like, "Ding." And he'd be like, and it kind of like made
sorry.
me, like, tense me up. Yeah. So, but Dave and I just got together, and it was just me and him and a computer, and we started writing songs with like just programmed drums, and like he was like really, and still is awesome at doing that, and it's actually still how we write. It's like just a couple of us in the programmed drums, and that's how we kind of create still. But that's how it started, and we just wrote songs, and I don't even really remember, like, there wasn't really a purpose of it. I was just like, this is fun, you know. I was like, I'm kind of over feeling all this pressure. I'm like, let's just want to write music,
Do our own thing,
you know. Yeah.
And so when did the band kind of as a whole start to form together? When did you start pulling in other guys to jump in?
Well, the first person we brought in was Dan, our singer, and Dave knew Dan just from they were writing music together previously, actually, as well. That they didn't really like do much with, though. And he's like, yeah, Dan and I were writing music a while ago, and I was like, he's like, do you know Dan? And I'm like, not really, like, kind of, like, because we were all in different local bands. So I know this might sound confusing, like,
No, but that's a similar theme from band stories, from like talking with bands about their history. It's everyone's kind of in a few different local bands,
Yeah.
and then bands break up. People recommend other people.
That's exactly what happened. Dan was playing bass, actually, in a band. I can't even remember the freaking name, but they weren't very good. So, but
Sorry, Dan.
Sorry, Dan. It wasn't very good, and he knows it. But anyway, I think like they parted ways with him, and then he was kind of like just not doing anything, and we were like, hey, you want to try to like sing over these songs, you know? And I remember it was just Dan and I at first that got together, and we got together in my old basement, and we had these demos that Dave and I wrote. I think we had like 3 songs or something. And
were you doing the vocals on those demos originally? Or?
No, like, it was just some music.
Okay.
Like, we had like 3 or 4 songs written, like, just music. It was just like, okay, well, you know, we have these songs, and I had some lyrics in mind, and I was like, you know, I was thinking maybe these lyrics for this song, and we got together like kind of karaoke style in my basement, like just Dan and I, and played it on the stereo, like the demo, and he was just kind of like singing over it, and he didn't really know how to sing that well at the time, but like, when he would really sing loud, he sounded really good. Mm-hmm. And I remember being like, you know, I think it's going to be a lot of work to get him to a point where like he could be like the singer of a band, but like
You knew there was something there.
there's like potential.
Mhm.
You know, I was like, I know he just needs a, because before he was just playing like a bass in a band.
How did it come into like the idea that, oh, let's get this bassist from another band to do vocals with us? Had Dave heard him sing before?
Yeah, I get like, well, they had written music before, and
Okay,
he had
that's
sang,
right, you
and
said
I
that,
didn't
that's right.
clarify that he did sing on that actually.
Okay.
But he never wanted to leave the other band he was in to like do it with Dave, or that's what he said. I wasn't really involved with that, but it just never really panned out to
Mhm.
be anything. But I kind of like heard the potential of it, you know, and I was just like, man, it sounds really good when he's singing really loud, but we got to like work it to, you know, like fine tune it a little bit
That's
more.
funny because it still shines through. Like when he gets really loud,
Yeah.
it's
It
still,
sounds great.
It's very signature of his
Yeah,
voice,
no.
I feel like.
Totally. And I remember my mom telling me, like, because at the time I was living with my mom and we would be in my basement. My mom would, you know, she doesn't care, but she would like hear him singing so loud. She's like, he's singing pretty loud and all this stuff. And it's funny because I was just telling my mom the other day and she says that she misses all that. She's like, I miss hearing all that.
The early days.
Yeah, the early days.
Does she get a kick out of what you're doing now, though?
Yeah, my mom, I will say like my mom and my dad have always supported me like 100% in music.
Were they ever musical at all, or was
No.
this kind of your own thing that you just started to get into?
No one in my family is musical. My dad though is our driver.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I had no idea. That
Yeah.
is so cool. So he's out on Warped all summer?
Yeah, this is his third Warp Tour.
Oh, nice.
So he drove us in 2014, then he drove Seaway last year, and now us this year, and then he's done 2 other tours with state champs as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Jeez.
he's like a road dog now.
That is rad.
so.
How did that happen? How did your dad get into the band driving world?
He used to tell me all the time when I was a kid, when you get a bus, like I'm gonna be the driver. And I was like, yeah, whatever. I'm driving in a van. I'm never gonna get a bus,
He
you
stuck
know.
to his word.
And then in 2014, we're like, hey, we're gonna get a bandwagon. For anyone that doesn't know, a bandwagon is a small
It's a smaller
RV.
bus.
It's a smaller bus. It's like an RV made for bands.
It has a shower.
So it has a shower.
I'm
so
jealous.
it's easier to call it a bus, but we're not cool enough for a bus. So, but it's a bandwagon.
But it's got a kitchen.
Yeah.
It's got a living room
They can
area.
Google.
It's
They got Google.
yeah, you
Google
got
it up.
Google bandwagon.
Google it up. You'll see it. But anyway, we were getting one. We're like, yeah, we're getting a bandwagon. He's like, well, I want to be the driver. And I was like, okay, yeah, that'd be cool. And he just did it, and like, he loved it, and he's like our driver now.
That's so
Like,
sick. You get to bring your dad out on the road with you.
Yeah, it's most days it's sick. Some days it's like, come on.
Some
you
days
know.
it's not the best.
Some days it's not the best, but it is cool. But yeah, but back to what we were originally saying, like my parents are really supportive, and my mom like doesn't totally get it, but I mean like she sees our like Facebook and stuff.
Did she
and-
come out to like the Chicago Warped Tour?
Yeah, she was at Warp Tour. Yeah, and like that was really cool, and like. She's just no one in my family was ever like really big into music, like even like going to show like
So it's
concerts.
still something
and-
that they're not necessarily too familiar with.
No, I mean my dad obviously now 110% gets it, but my mom, it's just like I don't think she really like if you played her a Real Friend song, she probably wouldn't know that it was a Real Friend song, you know. But she gets it and she's interested. So yeah.
So when did you guys start actually? Like you guys put out an EP,
Mhm.
the first release. When did you guys first put together like a compilation of songs to release to the public?
I mean, right from the start, we just started like getting songs ready for that EP, which is called "This Is Honesty," that a lot of people don't really know of because we put it out and didn't really like the response we got from it. But anyway, yeah, that was like 5 or 6 songs, and that was put out in April of 2011, I think.
And you guys totally wiped all that eventually, right?
Yeah, I mean, we still play a song off of it called Skeletons. But that it was just funny because it was, and just to bring it all up to date, where it was me, Dave, Dan, and then we had a different drummer at the time, actually, this guy, Aaron, who's a great guy and, still really cool with him, but he just didn't want to be in a band anymore. But anyway, it was just the 4 of us, and then we were having a live guitar player, just like different friends fill in for the second guitar slot when we were playing live in the beginning. And we played about 10 shows under all those songs, and that kind of like Real Friends sort of like sound.
And you weren't happy with the response?
No, we weren't happy with the response, and like we were really like second guessing too. We were like, is this really what we want to play? Because it's, if anyone listens to it, I mean, it's almost, I don't know, it's got more of a pop rock sort of feel than a more pop punk feel, but it's still got a aggressiveness to it. But you know, we recorded it all and we listened to it and played shows under, and we were playing the songs live, and we kind of sat down. We're like, you know, we don't really feel much from this. Like, this kind of feels like, I don't know, not right. And like, we were like, we kind of want to like go back to our roots and play what we really love. Like, play like Taking Back Sunday, Brand New, Starting Line, like stuff like that. And we felt like we were focusing too much on being like
Something new?
something, I don't even know. It was like, we'd listen to, I remember like showing Dave like parts in like Say Anything songs and being like, this is kind of cool, it's kind of different, and like, and that's cool, but it's like, I think we tried too much to be something that we weren't. And I remember sitting at practice and we were like, let's just start over. Like, who says that we can't? Like, we'll keep the name, we like the name, but let's just get a new sound. Let's go for more of the like pop punk sort of thing, and like go back to our roots of what we all really enjoy. Because we sat down, we're like, what are the bands we love? And we named all the bands I just said, you know, bands like that. Like, and we were like, all right, let's do it. And about 2 weeks after that, the drummer we had at the time just kind of bailed. He just didn't want to do it anymore. He's actually really into like racing cars. So, which is like more of his passion.
Well, that's good. He pursued what he likes.
And he still does it, and it's cool. And like, he still comes and hangs at shows sometimes, and all good. But we were like, you know, we get it. Yeah, you don't want to. It's not for everyone, you know. And then we found Brian, our current drummer, and he came in the band when we were writing for our technically second EP, which a lot of people think is our first. Is Everyone That Dragged You Here, which I think is 5 or 6 songs. I can't remember, But yeah, and then we put that out in 2012, like January or something. And before that as well, we acquired our second guitar player, Eric, so who I went to high school with, but we never spoke. So,
So then when you guys did go and rewrite this new EP, was it really easy to come in with this fresh sound after you guys kind of stripped back down to the basics and were like, hey, we need to be true to who we really are sound-wise?
Trying to think back to that even. I do remember writing the song Floorboards, which a lot of older fans would probably know and be very familiar with. That song had a lot of different like variations to it. Like, I remember when we first wrote it, we still kind of felt like it was the old sound. And I remember like sitting on it and being like, I don't know, this just doesn't hit like it's supposed to. Like, we need, you know, something like really fast in the beginning, and like it's just not there. I remember like really picking that song apart, and that was the first song that we wrote for it. And then if you listen to that song, like in the beginning, there's like the fast kind of like, you know, fast drum beat, like kind of like the signature pop punk sort of beat in there and stuff. And that song really opened it up for us. We were like, okay, this is what we want to do. And that was kind of like the definition of what we wanted.
That's when
to
Real
be.
Friends kind of had their sound.
Definitely. That song, Floorboards, is the song that really brought it all to life for us, you know. And we kind of based everything off of that. We were like, you know, let's make all the songs sound like it should be on an album with this one, you know.
And you write the lyrics, or at least some of the lyrics, right?
Yeah, I write a majority of them.
And
yeah.
So back in the, has that changed a little more? Has it shifted to where
Yeah.
there is a bit more from?
On our newest album, The Home Inside My Head, Dan wrote, I think, like 4 of the 12 songs.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I'd still have a good chunk of it, but Dan has started contributing lyrically as well, which is cool.
And what was that like previously? Is that weird at all? Like when you write something and then someone else like tries to portray and convey the emotion that you were writing down on paper, or was it kind of a team that you guys were always able to do well together?
I mean, I actually like, you know, to rewind back even the furthest that we have. When I first started playing in bands, I was 13 and I was a singer of a band. So I think I just naturally had that attachment to like, because I remember being 13 and I was not, you know, like I didn't know what to write about or anything, but they were like, well, you're the singer, you have to write, you know. And I remember like I was okay, you know, and I don't even remember what the hell I wrote about, but I just remember having that duty on my shoulders, you know. And I mean, it was awful because I am a terrible singer. But
is that why you aren't doing singing?
Yeah, I don't sing at all in the band, just because it's like it's just never really was my thing.
forte.
Like it was what got me started playing in bands. But I mean, like I'm glad I learned how to play bass, because I wouldn't be here if I was still singing. I'd probably, I don't even know, probably be on the street somewhere. So, but anyway, and also too, like when we mentioned starting the band, it was like Dave and I. So I like Dan was brought in after there were songs written. So I think it didn't feel weird to be like, hey, these songs are already written, and I was thinking that these lyrics fit it. Like, want to try it out?
No, because it made sense.
Because he wasn't even in the band yet at that point either. We were trying it out. So it's like it did make sense, and I think it's cool. I mean, like, I know it's not really a super common thing, but like Fall Out Boy is the same deal. I know. And I know there's some other bands out there that kind of do the same thing, but it's like a band is a band,
It doesn't matter how they do it. It's just kind of everyone does it differently in a band.
Yeah, no.
Everyone writes songs differently.
Totally. Everyone does it differently. And like even on the last album, I remember like having demos, or recording demos, and like some of the guys would even chime in on the lyrical content and even told me like, we know you can write better than that, like this and there. I'm like, okay, like,
which is good.
Yeah,
that's
it's
exactly
good.
what you want bandmates to be able to say.
Tough at first to take, but but that's the thing, is it's like it's a band, so it's like whoever if Dave or Eric or Brian, our guitar player and drummer, came up and said, hey, I wrote this song, we should use it, and it was good, I'd be like, yeah, I mean, you're in Real Friends.
Everyone
like,
can contribute.
Yeah, exactly.
And then were you guys always trying to get signed? Was that part of your goal? Because then you guys ended up signing with Fearless. How did that happen? And were you guys actively searching for a label?
No, I mean, like, well, even before that though, like we were, we were unsigned for a while. I mean, we released the 2 EPs, self-released, and then we did another EP after that called Put Yourself Back Together that we just self-released as well. And like we actually weren't going to sign to a label at all. Like that was our thing for a while. We were like, why should we sign to a record label? We don't need a record label, and we were really cool on doing everything on our own, and we had a manager. We got a manager and an agent, and we were like, we don't need a label, and then we actually started, like, the band became a full-time thing. Even we were able to like quit our jobs and everything and go on the road full-time. And but it kind of got to the point also where the band got bigger than we ever thought it would be too, because like, I mean, we were like, yeah, we're an unsigned band, we're gonna stay unsigned, we're not gonna sign to a label. But we were also playing in front of, at that time, maybe like 150 kids in every major city. But then all of a sudden you start playing in front of 300 kids, and you're like, oh, that's more people. Oh, we need our music to be like we need a bigger reach here. And like we can only go so far, so that's where the record label thing kind of started being talked about, and having a label. And I'll be honest, like when we first got record offers and stuff, we were just like kind of laughed them off. And we were kind of like, I don't know, we were kind of like not cocky, but we were kind of arrogant about it in a way, because we're like, well, we don't need you. Like, this is our job. Like, now, you know what I mean? Like, we're doing this, like, we're going to go against the grain here, But like I said, the band grew like way past what we ever thought it would be. So, and I think my opinion on the whole label band thing is that every band is different, I mean, there's some bands out there that could be really successful without a label, and then there's other bands where they need that form and they need more people helping them in the opinions and
a bit of a team.
Yeah, exactly.
And what was it about Fearless? I love those people, so I just have to I'd love to know why you decided to go with them.
Well, it's funny because when I first heard that, I was like, wow, we never signed to that record label. Just because we don't really, like, even still now, I mean, like, honestly, we don't really like fit the label totally. There's some stuff on there, like, we don't really listen to many bands on Fearless, like even now, but like the thing with them is that they were willing to have us be like their alternative band, like the more pop punk sort of band, like and we were looking at labels like, there's labels like, say, like a Pure Noise or a Rise, and even like a Hopeless,
and they've had plenty of bands that are of a
Yeah, they have a lot of bands like us.
Similar genre, yeah.
So what happens when, at the time, what happens when one of those labels get an opportunity for a pop punk band? Well, which one are we going to pick? With Fearless, it's like, well, we have our one pop punk band. So we wanted to go with them because of that. And they also were really cool, and still are, about us just being us, and they didn't want to change anything. And
oh, that's awesome. That's what I was going to say. So because you were kind of something new that they were bringing on, did they kind of, I'm sure that they trusted in you guys to be able to shape Real Friends into being the success that it's become.
Yeah, I mean, they were really open with us doing whatever we want. And still are. Even our newest record that we put out, we as a band came up with the whole marketing plan of it and everything, gave it to them, and they were like, yeah, this is great. And they
Put
were
it out next week.
Yeah, and they were like, yeah, this is cool. They've had opportunities for us that maybe don't fit us, that we just are like, no, we don't want to do it. They're like, oh, okay. Or I don't know. It's just, there's just a lot of things that I've heard from other bands on different labels that their labels want to do these things, and it's like,
you're not being forced.
We're not into that. No, we're nobody's robot that they're gonna
They don't own you.
No, not at all, not at all. And they told us when we first sat down with them, they were like, we want to keep Real Friends what it is and just help it. We don't want to overtake it.
I have to ask you the most generic thing. Why the name Real Friends?
I just remember us trying to come up with band names, and I remember the Friends kind of came up. We were like, Friends kind of sounds like something with that, and it could be a pop punk sort of
Very
thing.
much so, yeah.
And we were just kind of thinking, and I just heard the term Real Friends because it's a pretty common term. And I remember thinking that kind of sounds cool. And then I'm like, well, I'm sure there's a million bands called that because it's such a common thing. And I remember looking up on at the time, MySpace, Facebook, all that. And I'm like, no band name, Real Friends. I'm like,
so you jumped in on that.
I'm like, that's really weird. But also another meaning behind it is that the band that I was playing in, that Breathe Electric band, in 2010, a lot of the people that played with him we were all put together. They weren't
real friends.
No, they weren't. And if I brought up something from my hometown to them, this person or this place, they wouldn't know because they were all from different areas. And I just remember when we started the band, when we started Real Friends, and before we had a name, it was I knew everyone previously. We're from the same area. It was Real Friends. We are friends, and so kind of fits. I don't know. We kind of regret it. It's kind of a lame name.
No,
but whatever.
It's really common. It hooks. But so wait, I'm gonna script the name probably. But is it maybe this place is the same and we're changing?
And we're just changing.
Just changing.
You were so close. Come on.
I almost did it. But so that was your first release on Fearless.
Yes.
What was that like for you guys? It was your first full length album, and then it was on a label. Did it help propel you guys even further than what you already thought you guys could do, which you surpassed already?
Yeah. It's kind of weird because I feel at least now things are different with the music business is always changing. And it's I'm seeing more of an impact from that album, almost on this year of Warped Tour than ever, because people have grown with the album. You know what I mean? The album is now 2 years old, and it's and while we were in the album cycle and, touring on it and everything, I felt something from it, but now it's there's so many people that have mentioned that album this summer, more than ever almost, and it's I want them to mention the new album. I'm like, what about the new album? It's not good, but I get it. It's they've grown with the album. People said it helped them get through, their big first 2 years of high school, and that's a big thing, or last 2 years of high school, or first years of college and whatever. And I think if it wasn't on Fearless Records, it may have not had that reach, and I think Fearless Records exposed us to a more of a mainstream fan base of this world. I know this world's not totally mainstream, but more of kids that listen to Pierce the Veil, Day to Remember, All Time Low, kids like that didn't, because we were the pop punk band. We were playing in at house shows and basements and VFW halls, and that was our who Real Friends was for a long time. So it's a lot of those kids aren't exposed to those smaller bands, and I think Fearless helped expose Real Friends to those the younger kids, which are great fans, like awesome fans that have really grown with us since.
They're the ones that'll be listening to those albums and 2 years later telling you how much it means to them.
Oh yeah, exactly.
So have you seen a lot of kids with like lyric tattoos and stuff?
Yeah, a ton.
How is that, like, knowing that it's something that you wrote, that like then this person, it means something so much to them that they get on? That must be a really cool feeling as a lyricist.
Yeah, I mean it's really crazy. I mean, like, that's like something that you don't get used to. You know what I mean? It's like it's just really weird. Like, even like, I swear there's a point almost every day where I'm like, what the hell am I doing? You know what I mean? Like, because it's like I mean, we all worked like dead end jobs before this and stuff. Like the last job I had, I was like valeting cars, and like still while I was in the band for a while. And it's like, I don't know, it's just weird. And that's one of those things where it is surreal, and that's where it just is like, wow,
damn,
like this is really weird, but in a good
And
way.
obviously you're honored because it's
Totally
this person's body forever.
I mean, like, the thing is, it's really wild because, like, people can go like me. I love music and I love bands and stuff, but I'm not a very like loud person. Even on social media, like, I'm not really like going crazy on there and Twitter or whatever. But it's like, I listen to a band and I like it, and I listen to the album over and over and over. And like, I fall in love with the record, and it helps me sometimes, and it whatever. And there's people that do that for our music, but then there's people that go above and beyond. It's like, I want to get a tattoo, and it's like, oh, I really like Real Friend. Oh, I'm gonna get the lyrics, and it's like, I'm gonna walk into the shop, get it sketched up, like leave, come back, get it, and it's like all Real Friends really. Like, it's just so crazy,
That's awesome, because that's exactly what any band or artist would love to have happening, is that you get a fan base that's so like dedicated to your stuff, to your art, that they'll wear it on their sleeve, on their skin
forever.
Yeah.
It's
ever.
not just like, oh, well, this month I'm going to have this, but it's like forever. And it's just like really, I don't know. It's really crazy to me, because it's like, that's the kind of stuff I think that, makes a band really like live on, like someone's going to be sitting there like 80 years old one day with their grandkids, and they're going to be like, what is that on your wrist? Like, what are those words? Oh, this band Real Friends. And it's like all those things, it's just all part of the story, and it's really cool.
How is lyric writing for you? Because you write some of like the most like emotionally connectable lyrics like ever. Is a lot of it just from like first person experience stuff that you're just genuinely writing, or does some of it just come from like concepts like, hey, I know a friend that went through this? Or
a lot of it is stuff that has like happened, and a lot of it's really like not too detailed, because I want it to relate to people. Yeah,
it's broad enough to where they can put it into their own life.
Exactly.
Something that they're going through.
Like, I want people to relate to it. And like, when I was younger, I always think about this time that I had this notebook, and it was this composition notebook, and I was always writing it, like write lyrics, and I would try so hard to write songs with all these big words, everything, and all these clever rhymes.
You have a thesaurus next to you.
Oh yeah, like I would do it all, and I remember like I still have the notebook, and it's like, it's like I would write down just thoughts even of like the song subject or whatever, and there's just pages filled with stuff, and then like even some of the pages are just thoughts, like 3 or 4 pages of thoughts, and then the lyrics after, whatever. And it's like, I look at that and I remember being like, man, I just try so hard, and it's like, when I started writing for this band, I was like, I just want to write lyrics that are just like what you feel. Like, if I'm like, I always use this example, and I think it's a really good example, is that like people really connect to our music at times of like despair, and times that they feel like small, and people really, because our lyrics have to do with emotional things, everyday struggles, breakups, whatever,
relationships, everything.
But if I'm mad, I'm not gonna, if I'm pissed off one day, in my head, I'm not like, and it might be different for some people, this isn't for everyone, but for me, I'm not like, I'm so perturbed.
Exactly.
Like,
you're not using these intricate words.
Yeah. Like I can't believe this extravagant, and that's not even that big of a word, but I just can't think of one right now, but this extravagant issue in my life or whatever, you know what I mean? And it's like,
so why would I write lyrics?
Why would I write
that
like that? Like people want to hear things where it's just like, like one of our newer songs, it's like one of the lyrics and it's just like, I'm fucking up and getting over it. It's just like,
It's as simple as that.
Over it. I'm over it. Like, it's just that. And it's like, and I still now, as a music lover, hear lyrics that have that simplicity to it, and I connect to them still. Because I'm like, I feel that. Like, I'm over this, or like whatever, or like I don't know, like the simple lyrics have just always grabbed me. They're just always so, and I just always wanted to write that way.
It's a lot easier to relate to a song when you actually know what it's saying, rather than saying, what does that word mean?
No,
yeah, that's totally how I feel then.
Definitely. And there's nothing wrong with, more clever like lyrics either. I mean, like Dan, our singer, like a lot of his lyrics on that newest album, they are there's a little of like bigger words in there and a little more like thought out, I think, like just from a different angle sort of, which I still respect, but it's like for me, I definitely have enjoyed keeping it simple because it's something that, like I said before, that I still relate to now when I hear music. So I want to like keep true to myself.
So it's natural for you to do.
Exactly.
So when it came time for you guys to get working on the second album, what's it like coming with a full-length follow-up? Is that tough because you have such like a quick window of time to come up with a new batch of 10, 12 songs, or was it easy for you guys to jump back into the writing process?
I mean, it was hard. I mean, it's emotional too. I mean, it still is, because it's like, not to fast forward too much, but it's like even the album being out now, it's like people, like we're playing 2 new songs on Warped Tour, and it's like they've gone over really well, but it's like they don't go over as well as the old songs because people, love those songs and like have connected with those songs and had the time to really like hold on to them and maybe forget about them and then remember them again. You know what I mean? It's like there's so many emotions connected to the songs that it's like it's really tough when you go into write, because you're like, I want these new songs to hit just like, I mean, these people like these other songs, like we have to make them just as good. And it's very
your own work is intimidating.
Yes. It's just, it gets crazy. And like, we just really pushed ourselves to write. I mean, we took a lot more time. We started writing like, at the end of 2014. So, I mean, it was like not even 6 months after we released the other record, we had begun or started writing, at least not in a really intense way, but at
just
least
ideas were going around.
Yeah, ideas and demos and little parts and things like that. And like, it was good because we were able to sit on those parts and songs for a while and like have like almost a bank of like thoughts, as opposed to like every other time we wrote like up until the day we were going to the studio. It was always like this small chunk of time, like rush, like gotta like these last 3 songs, like it's like I can hear songs on our records before that I'm like, I know we wrote that song.
We were driving to the studio when
like
we finished that line.
I know this song like does not have the time that it should have, but with this album we were like, we don't want to feel that at all with any of these songs. We want it to be 1,000,000% all in, our best work that we can do, and we took the time at home to write a lot of stuff, and we even wrote on the AP tour, which was in October of 2015. Yeah, we were on tour then, writing like on the road, because we just wanted to make sure we had enough time, and that was really stressful, like writing on the road, because it's like you got one job to do on the road, which can be stressful,
So throw an entire album writing on top of it.
I mean, we wrote about half of it on the road.
That's actually really cool though, because I saw you guys out on that tour at the House of Blues in San Diego, or Anaheim, wherever that is. But it's cool that at that point stuff was just kind of in the works, but to see where it's come in the 8 months following it or so.
Yeah.
So how do you guys feel looking back on that album now? Did you exceed your expectations going into your second album? Is it something that you guys are really stoked with?
Yeah, I mean, like we went into a different studio too, which really helped, because before, all of our stuff that we previously released was recorded in Indiana, which is we're from Illinois, so it was right near us. And we recorded with a friend of ours who did the last Knuckle Puck record as well, actually. His name's Seth Henderson. But he was just kind of a friend of ours, and it was good, but I feel like we needed someone to like push us more, like more of a producer. So we went in with Steve Evans, who did like the Wonder Years, and he's done Saves the Day as well, which is awesome.
I bet looking back to your younger years, you'd be stoked knowing that you'd be working with like someone that had worked with such iconic names in our scene.
Oh, it's insane. I mean, like, and he's awesome. And we also did kind of confusing, but we recorded the album with Steve. But then there was 3 songs that we co-wrote and recorded with Mike Green, who has done stuff with like Pierce the Veil, All Time Low, even 5 Seconds of Summer. So that was really weird for us. At first, we were like, this guy that's written with all these like popular bands, do we want to do that? But we ended up having some of the best songs come out with Mike Green. Like a lot of people know the song Mess from the album. We co-wrote that with Mike Green, and Colder Quicker as well. And then I think, and Empty Picture Frames was another song. And then everything else was done with Steve, and Steve produced the remaining songs, and he recorded everything as well. So
there's a lot of new stuff going on in this album, though. It was 2 people taking on some vocal writing, and then you guys worked with a few different producers.
Yeah, there's a lot of
and
kind of like straining, I guess. That I
brought something new, though,
yeah.
so it wasn't the same thing, which is nice. You guys came out with something that was kind of pushing
Yeah.
the boundaries of Real Friends.
I never really thought of it that way. Like there was a lot considered from the first album. Like there was definitely a lot of like new people added, and like Dan writing lyrics and stuff. So, which I think put a new twist on it, and we're really stoked on it. Like I just love the way it sounds. Like I think the way the record sounds is how we're supposed to sound as a band, like sonically. Like it just represents us very well.
So you guys are stoked with it?
Yeah, definitely. Very, very stoked with it. And like it's been cool to like play new songs this summer. And I'm just excited to tour more, to play like more new songs.
Yeah, so what's up for you guys? Just some tours coming up after Warped Tour. You'll get a chance to play a few more of the new tracks.
Yeah, well, we're going out in October and November with the Wonder Years, Knuckle Puck, Moose Blood, and Seaway.
That's rad. Speaking of who you guys worked with in the studio, and then Wonder Years.
Yep.
So it comes full circle a bit.
Yeah.
And Knuckle Puck, because your previous album was done with the same producer.
It's all connected.
Small world out here.
Yeah. Well, Knuckle Puck are really good friends of ours.
Oh,
they're from our area too.
Yeah, you guys are all some Chicago boys.
Yeah.
I watched both your sets in Chicago at Warp. That was insane.
That was a good day. A lot of family. Kind of stressful.
Mom didn't
but
get
it,
it,
good.
but she still loved it. But are you guys gonna kind of repeat the similar writing process and maybe start in the next few months getting ideas going for the next album? Or
yeah, I mean, I've actually felt kind of an itch on this tour to start writing. I know, like, I think at least like Dave and I will get together like here and there and just start some stuff. Yeah, I'm just like, just feel that itch, because it's like, for anyone that's ever been to Warped Tour, I'm sure they can understand. Like towards the end of the tour, you kind of start to get a little burnt out, and I'm sure no one can blame me for that. But I'm just kind of like, my head is almost like getting into a mode of like, I want to be home and like write, and I think the earlier we start writing, the better. It's just fun to it's fun to write and not have pressure, because we've written with pressure where it's like, okay, like these are the 10 songs and these are the 10 songs we're going to record because we don't have time to write one more part.
Yeah, and they need to be done by this day.
Yeah. So it's always fun to like throw around stuff and be able to experiment too, and like try new things and just like really take our time,
Good. Well, glad. I found out a lot that I had been wanting to know about Real Friends. So thanks for
Awesome.
sitting down for that. What was it? Close to an hour, 45 minutes or so.
It's great.
Chatting. Thanks for chatting, man.
Dude, yeah.
Now get ready for some downtime after Warped Tour. Go write some stuff before the
Yes.
tour.
Stoked.